All right, welcome back to another behind the scenes of Musanijam, this collaborative music and animation project I'm undertaking with my dad, Philip Carlsen. As mentioned in the round one video, this is a project where we're kind of going back and forth as we make it. So in round one, my dad composed some music initially, and then I listened to that music and I made animation to go along with it, then added some extra animation. Then it goes back to him. He made some music to go with that new animation, building off of what came before, and then added to it. And we're just going to keep going back and forth in that fashion. So for this round, for this work in progress, I put the animation and music first at the top, and then you'll see a narrated time lapse of the whole process. So let's start by playing some of his music, and in this time he removed the marimba from the beginning because it felt a little bit too frantic, but otherwise it just goes through as it was before, and then he added on music to that for me to animate to in this round. So here's the music. And then here's the complete animation up to this point, incorporating his latest music. And now let's get into the time lapse. So to start with, I brought his music in, played it alongside the previous version to see how it sounded, and then to give myself some guidance, I decided to start putting in what emotions I thought could go with the music. So like you'll see shadow, scared, turns to cart. I'm thinking about this kind of cart thing happening later, just to sort of guide the process, help me figure out what I need to make. So I brought back some assets from before to use as reference to kind of get reoriented to what this character looks like, and make some new high-res versions for some close-ups using the same kind of look and colors before, and as always keeping it very rough just to be able to make it through this. I have an hour-and-a-half time limit for myself again, so have to go really fast. So I'm also making the decision to reuse assets from before. This helps me to be able to do more in the new round and not have it be quite as frenetic as far as having to build as big a number of assets. So we're still in that kind of space. Now I'm doing some animation for him to be looking around, keeping with the music. I ended up spending quite a lot of time with this, and then realized I had to keep keep running along because of the time limit. But just wanted to have it timed well with the music. So then I added this kind of whip pan with a lot of motion blur to have him looking over to another area. The whip pan with the motion blur allows me to mix it into another shot and make it feel like it's all one big space, but not have to actually make it like that. Then I wanted to make this character kind of like, I guess inspired by Stranger Things a little bit, like one of those shadow creatures. I initially started by giving it a lot of pins, you'll see there, then I pulled back on that just to help it be a little bit easier to animate, and then wanted to have it kind of be growing against this wall and have this kind of creepy motion. And you know, it really doesn't take too much work to get something like that set up in a simple way. So then we have him reacting to that. Due to the time, I ended up having him hunker down for quite a stretch and not try and animate additional details to go with the music during that time. And then you'll see I have like 30 minutes left, so I'm about 2/3 of the way through. And I wanted to make this sort of animated cart thing, so have the box that he's in turn into a cart and then go off on some sort of ride. So then adding in the wheels, obviously they're going to be pretty wobbly because they're not perfect circles. So he's going to be taken off in that. And like before, I'm using pre-comps to set things up. So there's a pre-comp with just him in the cart so I can focus on that and then just stick that whole thing into the scene later. So working on refining the timings and getting them to ride away. And then I'm sort of reaching the end here, so now I had a little bit of time left over to refine things, so I added a little bit more detail to the shadow creature's environment, a little more tweaks to making things look right, and then I also ended up adding grain across the whole thing at one point, just to help reduce banding, which you can sometimes get at low compression. But yeah, there it is. So that was round 2. Had a lot of fun with that, looking forward to the next round. As of this recording, when I'm making this, I have received music from my dad that he composed for the next chunk, so we'll be doing round 3 of animation soon based on that music, and then I'll be adding more to it. So stay tuned for the next round, and thanks for watching.